peaceful workplace, a non-hostile work environment, are those rights being violated by the WNBA? And at the very least, there's a portion of this that says maybe WNBA leadership should at least have to go sit in front of some people and answer some very uncomfortable questions. Lord knows I would love to see that. Because Kathy Engelbert and Adam Silver, it seems to be nothing to see here. Please.
ESPN recently updated their weekly WNBA power rankings, showing the Indiana Fever climbing higher in the standings. The team has been making significant progress and appears positioned to continue their upward trajectory in the league. The Fever currently holds 5th place in the overall WNBA standings, with strong momentum building behind them. With Fee Collier sidelined for Minnesota Lynx for approximately 2 to 3 weeks, the competitive landscape has become more unpredictable. The league standings show increasing parity, creating opportunities for teams like Indiana to capitalize on their recent success.
Because Kathy Engelbert and Adam Silver, it seems to be nothing to see here. Please move along. Now, I've seen a lot of fans just come out and say, hey, they're assaulting her, it's battery, yada, yada, yada. And the WNBA has turned a blind eye to this treatment. So let's check this out right here. This is by Sean McLean. Now, it talks about the fact that Caitlin Clark has basically done for the WNBA what Michael Jordan did for the NBA, right?
Looking at the current WNBA standings, the Fever sits behind teams including Mercury, Atlanta, and New York Liberty. However, their recent performance suggests they have the capability to compete with and defeat these higher-ranked opponents, having already proven successful against several top teams in previous matchups. ESPN's latest power rankings moved Indiana from 5th to 4th position, reflecting their impressive recent form. The Fever has achieved 5 consecutive victories, establishing the league's longest active winning streak and marking the franchise's best run since 2015. This streak includes notable victories with 6-point margins over both Mercury and Storm, plus a commanding 10-point triumph against the Wings.
The NBA, right? Instead of protecting its transformative star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Miss Clark, treating its greatest asset as if she were a PR headache. That approach could turn into legal liability for the WNBA. Okay, well, get this. Get this. We're watching this play out. Caitlin Clark's been hurt. We're watching in front of.
The team's success continues despite Caitlin Clark's absence due to a right groin strain. During her recovery period, teammates Kelsey Mitchell and Ari McDonald have stepped up to maintain offensive production. Additionally, Sophie Cunningham has delivered outstanding performances that deserve recognition alongside other standout players. Aaliyah Boston has emerged as a dominant force, earning Eastern Conference Player of the Week honors. Her recent statistics show exceptional consistency, averaging 16 points and 11 rebounds per game while recording multiple double-doubles.
Watching this play out. Caitlin Clark's been hurt. We're watching in front of our very eyes how differently these teams are treating the Indiana Fever without Caitlin Clark on the court. I mean, let's just be real. It's been much different. The level of physicality has very obviously ratcheted down. It's been tame, downright tame. We want to talk about Caitlin Clark's performance. What would her performances be like if it was just basketball games?
During the week spanning late July through early August, Boston achieved 3 consecutive double-doubles across 3 team victories. Boston's transformation has been remarkable, particularly after a slower start in early July. Her current play establishes her as arguably the premier center in the league, demonstrating the kind of impact that has elevated the entire team's performance level. The Fever's upcoming schedule includes matchups against Los Angeles, Phoenix, and Chicago over the next 7 days. Based on their current form and momentum, these games present opportunities to extend their winning streak further.
Performances be like if it was just basketball games. Everybody's bragging about this 5-game winning streak. It is great. But Caitlin Clark doesn't get to play under these circumstances, where these girls are just going out there and playing basketball. That doesn't get to happen for her. It goes on to talk about what she's done to viewership, league subscriptions, 366%. Engagement.
The Los Angeles matchup holds particular significance as it offers a chance for redemption against a team that has provided close, dramatic contests in previous meetings. With Cameron Brink returning to the Sparks lineup, the competition level remains high, but Boston's current dominance in the paint gives Indiana a significant advantage. The Phoenix and Chicago games also appear favorable for the Fever given their recent trajectory. Team viewership has reached impressive levels at 1.6 million, demonstrating sustained fan interest even without Clark in the lineup. This sustained attention speaks to the team's overall entertainment value and competitive appeal beyond any single player.
66%. Engagement on app, 613%. Merchandise sales, 601%. Yet she routinely faces intentional hits, excessive fouling, and uncalled abuse while referees look away. Teammate Sophie Cunningham said what fans already know, quote, "The star player of the league is not being protected." Interesting, because you do realize if they call in leadership to ask questions.
Regarding Clark's return timeline, expectations point toward mid-August, potentially between the 17th and 20th. Reports suggest she has resumed practice activities, indicating progress in her recovery process. Her return would provide additional offensive firepower to a team already performing at an elite level. The Fever's rise represents more than temporary success. It signals a franchise transformation. Their current winning streak, combined with individual excellence from players like Boston and strong supporting performances from the entire roster, positions them as legitimate contenders in an increasingly competitive WNBA landscape.
Interesting, because you do realize if they call in leadership to ask questions of, they're going to call in some players too. She'd be an interesting one to call in and just have her give her opinion. Ms. Clark herself noted, quote, "Everybody is physical with me. They get away with things others don't. 3 injuries have sidelined her for 10 games and the All-Star game. Ratings plummeted 55%. It goes on to talk about the fact that Asia Wilson.
As the season progresses, Indiana's ability to maintain this momentum while integrating Clark back into the lineup will determine whether this surge represents a brief hot streak or the beginning of sustained championship-level play. Their current trajectory suggests the latter, making them one of the most compelling stories in professional basketball. The WNBA has issued another penalty to Phoenix Mercury guard Sophie Cunningham, marking her 4th separate fine during the current season. The latest disciplinary action resulted from comments she made regarding officials during a podcast appearance, adding to her growing list of infractions this year. Previously, Cunningham received a $500 penalty for social media content on TikTok.
Said that these kind of things, she said that race is, quote, "a huge thing," and it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is. Under civil rights law, race-motivated patterns trigger scrutiny even without explicit discriminatory intent. Systematic missed calls include viral replays of Clark being fouled multiple.
Her most recent fine amounts to $1,500, stemming from remarks made during a podcast episode where she discussed referee performance and officiating standards. The specific comments that triggered the league's disciplinary response centered on officiating consistency and player protection. Cunningham's remarks suggested that referees should better protect marquee players like Caitlin Clark, stating that officials need to safeguard the league's prominent figures. Her commentary included observations about missed calls and inconsistent officiating that occurs directly in front of officials. During the podcast discussion, Cunningham acknowledged the difficulty of officiating while expressing frustration with what she perceived as obvious missed calls.
Like our first week, what people had to say, well, the WNBA fined me for
No! You got fined for episode 1?
Dude, they fined me $1,500.
If I'm not mistaken, like, all she said was basically was talking about, the refs need to protect. I'm pretty sure. Was it not for her saying the refs need to protect Caitlin Clark? I'm pretty sure that's what she essentially said. The refs need to protect Caitlin Clark.
She stated that if referees were going to penalize players for certain actions, the same standards should apply consistently across all teams and situations. Her comments reflected broader concerns among players and fans about officiating quality throughout the league. The specific statements that drew the fine included criticism of referee decision-making, particularly regarding clear violations that occurred in plain view of officials. Cunningham mentioned that finding patterns of inconsistency troubling, especially when simple calls were repeatedly missed during crucial game moments. When discussing the disciplinary process, Cunningham explained how fines are communicated to players.
What she essentially said, the refs need to protect Caitlin Clark, and like Caitlin Clark said, you know, finally someone did it. Like, she basically talked about being like, the refs need to protect the face of the league. I'm pretty sure that was it. If it's not, and someone will tell me what it actually was, leave it in the comment section, I'll pin it. So, imagine fining $1,500. Like, there's no way. I don't think anything is that crazy.
The league contacts the team's general manager, who then privately informs the player about the penalty. She described being pulled aside by her GM in front of teammates and being informed about the upcoming financial punishment. Cunningham emphasized that she had credited officials for having a challenging job and acknowledged she wouldn't excel in their position. However, she maintained that her overall message warranted examination of the complete context, rather than selective interpretation of specific statements.
Not crazy? So, this is what she said. If I was a ref, I know I mess up all the time. I'm not saying your job is easy, but when it's a simple call right in front of your face multiple times, what are you doing? What are you doing? They're so inconsistent, that's my thing. Like, if you're on the other team and you're going to be fining the shit out of me, cool. But let me do it to you, you know what I mean? I think the players across the league, new fans across the country, everyone's like, what's going on with the refs? I'm like, I don't know. And you're fining me. You fining me $500 is not going to do shit.
The financial impact of these fines varies significantly when considering Cunningham's additional income sources beyond her WNBA salary. Podcast appearances, particularly through established networks, can generate substantial revenue through sponsorships and advertising. Industry estimates suggest that successful podcast episodes can earn several $1,000s, potentially offsetting the penalty amounts. Revenue from podcast content comes through multiple streams, including network partnerships, sponsorship deals, and advertising revenue.
That is actually, no, in fairness, yeah, you know what? Fine her for that. Fine her for that. Because just like fining her $500 is not going to do shit, fining her $1,500 is not going to do shit either.
Your dollars. I'm like, what? I'm like, this is just the beginning. I was like, you're kidding.
Oh, way. I'm glad that you saved that for this and didn't text me, because that's unreal. I mean, it's like, it's cool.
For established platforms, first episodes often generate significant income through promotional partnerships and advertiser interest. YouTube ad revenue adds another revenue layer, particularly for content featuring American audiences during longer-form discussions. The mathematics of fines versus earning potential creates an interesting dynamic. WNBA fines are calculated as percentages of player salaries, limiting the maximum penalty amounts.
Unreal. I mean, it's like, it's cool for the pod, but that's kind of a bummer. Do they, when you get fined, do they put like verbatim, like quote here, like this is why you're being fined and this is why it's this much? Or is it like, hey, quit talking shit on us, Venmo us like $1,500?
No. What happens is they email our GM, and she pulls me aside and she goes, come here, Soph, I have to talk to you. And this was in like front of everybody. And I was like, what did I do now? And she just smiled and she goes,
however, when players generate income through media appearances and social platforms that far exceed their basketball salaries, traditional fine structures may lose their deterrent effect. This situation highlights broader questions about player expression and league discipline policies. Some argue that athletes should be able to share experiences and observations without financial penalties, particularly when discussing systemic issues like officiating consistency. Others contend that public criticism of officials undermines league authority and requires appropriate consequences.
She goes, hey, they're going to fine you again. They're like, I was like, I even told them, I even credited them that their job was hard. I did say that. And I said that I would not be good at it. I did say that. Like, look at the whole picture. What are we doing? But Yeah, so I got
Yeah,
back for that. So
I think that I wouldn't be surprised they're finding Kelsey Plum, if they find Angel Reese, if they find everybody. But Sophie Cunningham's out there actually talking about the fines. I think every player needs to, if they.
The pattern of repeated fines for similar commentary raises questions about whether the disciplinary approach effectively addresses underlying concerns. If players continue making similar statements despite financial penalties, the fine system may need reevaluation or adjustment. Cunningham's situation may set precedents for other players who wish to discuss officiating or league operations publicly. Several high-profile players have made similar observations about referee performance, and their treatment moving forward will indicate the league's commitment to its current disciplinary standards.
I think every player needs to, if they get fined, needs to say it. I think they need to say it. Like, Sophie Cunningham, and by the way, like, unless Sophie Cunningham may or may not have bought a monetized channel, I doubt it. I doubt she purchased a monetized channel for the podcast. But like, her first I'm not joking when I say this. So she probably has gotten approved for monetization off that first podcast. But
the timing of these incidents coincides with increased league visibility and media attention. As player platforms grow and media opportunities expand, the intersection of athlete expression and league discipline becomes increasingly complex. Traditional approaches to managing player commentary may require adaptation to modern media landscapes. Looking forward, Cunningham's total fine accumulation could reach historically significant levels relative to her salary percentage.
Podcast, but she's probably making, like, I would say on that podcast, so the volume are hosting it, so the volume are paying for all the production, I'd say, and they're probably taking a certain chunk of it, but also being on the volume means that you are promoting the volume, and I would say there are quite a few, are there any sponsors yet? Talking about Arby's, there's definitely a thing there. Like,
this ongoing situation demonstrates how individual player actions can spark discussions about systemic issues, disciplinary policies, and the balance between expression and institutional authority in professional basketball.